You're listening to Sarah Talk. It's political.
You could run a fucking pet rock against Donald Trump, and I would vote for the pet rock.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
Yeah.
Critical.
Hang on, let me... I'm gonna change some words here. All right, ready? Adults with religious confusion who truly believe in a higher power that created us and actually cares what we do with our penises and vaginas should be treated with care, compassion, and kindness, but must not be officially affirmed in their confusion, no matter how sincerely held. Fuck you.
And positively LGBT positive.
In many states, you can still be evicted from housing simply for being gay or transgender. Stand and fight with us.
Oh, and occasionally completely absurd.
I don't know if you've ever seen a lightning bug, but he flies around with a flame of light coming out of his behind. The lightning bug got a flame coming out of his butt.
It's a beautiful night tonight. All the sodomites are out.
And now, from Orlando, Florida, your host, Sarah Austin.
Hey everybody, welcome to Sarah Talk.
Hey, hey.
I'm Sarah Austin.
Hi. I'm Becca. I'm sorry. I'm in La La Land.
You are.
It's been a day.
It has been a day, and it's a very Florida man kind of day here at the palatial Sarah Talk studios. We have so much Florida garbage to talk about this week.
Why do we have Florida
Have you
garbage?
been watching the news?
Because
Florida is garbage.
I try to bury my head in the sand when it gets too out of hand.
Okay, so we'll get into all of that in a minute. But first, I thought maybe we could talk about this hockey thing.
Okay.
So we took our son to a free learn to play hockey thing at a local rink.
Yes.
Never been on the ice before. And he did pretty good for having never been on skates before and never been on the ice.
I was impressed. I thought maybe it's genetics.
Right? But I was a little disappointed. And I provided them feedback, I guess, put a thing on their Facebook. But here's what happened. So they create this free learn to play hockey event. And on the flyer, it says, no skating experience required. Okay. Which is good because ours doesn't. So we show up and everybody's kid is there.
Yeah.
A lot of people showed up for this thing.
Everyone.
And it's free, so I get it.
Right.
But given the dress of some of these kids, a lot of them seem to have experience.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you have, like, pads and a hockey jersey on.
There
like,
was
you
kids
seem
in
like
full gear. You knew that they've done this before.
Yeah. So it was totally disorganized. We walk in, and we went through this room, and you pick up your equipment.
Sign a waiver,
pick up your equipment. And then they just kind of point you out of the room and say, okay,
Have
now
fun.
go this way. Have a good time. They didn't tell you where to go next.
Didn't tell you where to get skates. Like they gave you, what do we get, gloves and a helmet, and a stick.
Yes. And then so we finally figure it out. Okay, here's where we go to get skates. Now there's two rinks in this particular complex. There is a Olympic rink and a professional rink.
Yes.
And we didn't know. There's no instructions given. No information.
That wasn't on the flyer.
Nope.
There was nobody that was visibly in charge of the whole thing.
Yep.
Just
so
free-for-all.
we finally figure out where everybody's going. And
I think somebody came.
Yeah,
we were out,
finally.
we were
One
out
of the
around the
adults
Olympic
finally
rink, and somebody finally said, "Oh, they're going to be in the other one."
Right. So we finally get out there. Kids get out on the ice. Our kid is walking the boards because he's never been on ice before, and he fell on his head. And we had this conversation with him ahead of time. Like, look, you're going to fall. It's going to happen a lot. And don't get discouraged. You know, that's
okay.
part of it.
Right.
And he did great. So he's walking the boards. And eventually, like, other kids, so there were, I don't know, maybe, 15 of the kids, 10, 15 that were, like,
on the
that are
walls,
kind of hanging
yeah.
back on the walls.
Yeah.
And gradually they would one or two at a time peel off
Ease
and
off,
go out
yeah.
onto the ice and be okay. And then ours was like one of 3 or 4 left at the end.
Yeah.
That were still hanging on the
Right.
boards, right? So I was like, shit.
It was like watching a baby giraffe try to learn how to walk.
Yeah, it really was. Right.
Like,
Except that as I looked at it, I thought to myself, God, I hope our baby giraffe doesn't look at all the other baby giraffes who are having a great time hitting the hockey puck
right.
and think, I can't do this.
Right.
So finally, he's walking the boards. He's one of the last few kids, and this fucking 12-year-old is helping him.
Now, mind you, this 12-year-old has probably been on the ice since he was 2.
Sure. Yeah. Definitely. Probably a coach's kid or
Probably.
something. Yeah.
I mean, and there were little kids. Like, there was kids that were smaller than our daughter.
Whoa.
Who-
Stop. Time out. Stop the show.
Whoa.
Hold on. Stacy, who told me, so I invited Stacy to join the show, and she joined the show, and then I said, hi, Stacy, in the chat, and then she left and sent me a private message that says, I'm going to miss the show this week. And I was like, oh, that's really sad, and it's okay. We still love you. And she says, I know. I'm on my way to town to see Morgan's new cat. I'm sorry, Stacy. That is not an acceptable excuse for missing the show to go see a cat. Sorry, I got distracted there, but that's not acceptable. Not an acceptable excuse.
Yeah, I'm a little hurt.
Okay, so this 12-year-old kid who's probably been on the ice since he was 2 and probably a coach's kid was helping, with air quotes, our son. And they walked down like the goal line from goal line to goal line on that end.
Yeah.
And then back. And the kid comes to me, and I'm standing at the door trying to encourage our kid to, stick with it.
Hang in there.
And he brings our son to me and says, I don't think he's ready for this. And I think my jaw hit the floor. And had he not been a 12-year-old, I would have said, can you get me your fucking adult, please? Where's your parent? Is there an adult here? Can I talk to an adult, please? Because the flyer said, no skating experience required.
Uh-huh.
Teach him how to skate.
Now, at this point, I didn't know what was going on because I was sitting on the other side in the bleachers with the in-laws and the
little
toddler.
one. Yeah.
And I just see something happening, and I was like, I better haul ass. So I walked around to the other side and went to the door, and Sarah told me what happened. And of course, I was like, no.
Yep.
So I got our son right up in my face, and I said, listen to me, you got to loosen up. And I gave him my little
Bend your knees a little bit.
pep talk, and
Don't lock up.
I got him out off the ice on the rubber floor, and I shook him up and, bend your knees, and loosened him up and said, now get back out there. And that seemed to help. And within like 5 minutes of that, he was out there hitting
he was
at
doing
the puck.
good. Yep, right.
So,
Yep.
I mean, if you get down in the kids' level and talk to them and they understand that you believe in them, then but 12-year-olds don't know how to do that.
Right.
So.
And again, like, I'm just like, where did you not have enough adults that could come do this thing?
Right.
Like, and here's my suggestion, right? Because this is what I do. I see a thing and I would like, okay, how would I have done this?
Right.
Here's how I would do this next time, right? Okay, let's have signups, right? Let's have a limited number of kids that can come to free class day.
Right.
And if you limit that to 20 or whatever it is, and 40 kids want to come, create another session.
Right.
On the same day. It was, what, an hour?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean,
all they're trying to do, really, is get you to sign up to come take their classes and be in their league and do their
sample.
And if you're going to do that, then let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, put me in charge of that.
Like, well, and that's the thing. Like, I just wonder how many people left there with that bad taste in their mouth and went, because we did. Like, we left and said, okay, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to find another place to do it.
Yep.
So, there you have it.
Right.
Anyway.
So, speaking of other parents, there was another parent.
Oh, God, this parent.
And I got to talk about this because, you people know that I am not into sports. I am not a sporty person. I've never been a sporty person.
No.
I tried to play basketball like in 5th grade or some nonsense, and it was the most awkward experience of my life.
Please tell me more.
That's it. That's all you get. I didn't last long. I wasn't good. And so sporting is not my thing, right? And I'm also not one of these like type A like sport parents either, right? Like my kid has not shown any interest in a sport. He didn't want to play t-ball, and we suggested like his friends at school were playing t-ball.
Yeah.
There are lots of soccer leagues around. We could do that.
Yeah.
And he just had this like, I really none of that interests me.
Just
He's
like
into art. Yeah.
That's what he wants to
and
do.
that's great.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And I think I figured it out. Don't come back to the stupid bitch.
Okay.
But I think I figured out why that is. It's like 120 degrees in Florida, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to play a sport outside either.
No.
Now, inside where there's ice and it's not hot and sweaty, okay, maybe I could understand like, yeah, okay, I'll play that. So he's hooked now. He wants to play hockey.
Mm-hmm.
My fear is the other parents. And if please comment if you have ever been this parent or have ever encountered this parent
or had this parent.
I want to hear it. Right. Yes. Or if your parent was this parent, I want to hear about it. This dumb bitch. I mean, this woman.
Hey, she's somebody's mother.
Rolls up with her chunky kids. With her kids.
Oh my god. Oh man, you are real. Damn.
I'm kind of being a bitch.
Wow.
Well, she really pissed me off.
Yeah.
So she comes rolling up with her kids, and the one kid was on the boards with Austin for a while, and they were with our son for a while, and they were like leapfrogging on. They would walk along the boards together, and then one of them would turn and come back and go around the other one, and so they did that for a while, and then he came back to the door, and she said something to him about, you need to get out there, and just real in his face, like, why did we come to this thing if you're not going to get out there and get into it and get it? Lady, calm down. And then she looked at me as if she was going to get support from me, and was like, right? Like, and said, like, don't you think they just need to get out there and do it?
Lady, I'd like to see you get your ass out there on that ice and do it.
Like, well, you're not gonna. This is a waste of time. You're not gonna learn anything unless you just get out there. And I was like, lady, you are the reason why I have no interest in anything to do with anything involving sports. You're the reason, lady. It's you. Because here's what's gonna happen. My kid's gonna love hockey. He's gonna get into it. He's gonna join a youth league, and then your kid's gonna be right next to him. On the bench. Then they're going to get out on the ice, and that little fucker's going to act just like you. I'm going to have to clock him. That's what's going to happen. It's going to piss me off. Sorry. I did not intend to spend this much time talking about hockey.
Sarah. Jeez.
I started drinking without y'all tonight.
And, okay.
By the way.
So, like, yeah, she was very, like, I don't know. It made me sad for the kid because he was really sweet and very considerate of like all the other kids that were trying to get by him.
Kid.
And like I could totally see the two of them like getting along and hanging out and you know
totally.
And this lady was just like, oh,
making it all worse.
But I looked at her and I thought to myself, if it was really difficult for me because I wanted to get out on that ice.
And help him. Yep.
And I couldn't because of my knee.
Right.
But in another life, I would have been out on that ice. And this lady, I don't know what her story is, but like she didn't like try to even connect with this kid. I pulled our son out and I was like, hey buddy, listen.
Right. You were like making eye contact and having a conversation.
I'm trying to like encourage him in a positive way and tell him, hey, it's okay. You fell, but hey, next time you fall, do this way, or try when you think you're going to fall, do this or whatever. And I'm trying to give him pointers, but she was just like screaming at her kids.
Yep.
Of course you're not going to enjoy it if you don't just go.
Yep.
But it was very obviously having trouble just going.
Right. He could have used some encouragement. Right. So Jamie says, okay, my mom was more supportive than that, but my dad, that was my dad. Sports parents are fucking crazy. I agree. Yes. And it's generally the dads. Sure. They're the ones that are like screaming at the ref at a little league game.
Right.
Like, calm the fuck down. The whole point is your kids should be having fun and let them handle it. Right. Let your kid's the one playing the game, not you. Calm the fuck down.
Right, exactly.
Some other comments from the chat tonight. Stacy says, Becca, your hair, badass girl.
Thanks. I can't see any of the comments.
These are comments on the post that I shared to the group. So these are group people commenting on the post. That there's two different comments.
I'm so confused.
Okay, so then Gabe says, haha, teach him how to skate. And so I think that's what we've decided to do. I think the direction is, so some of these places offer like two different classes.
Right.
There's one class that's learn to skate, and that's geared more towards figure skating. Mm-hmm. And then there's one class that's learn hockey, and that's more geared towards hockey. And they both teach you the basics of skating. Right. But they kind of, lean towards the interest that you have. Sure. Right. And then there are some that just do a basic, everybody learns how to get on the ice and skate around.
And I think about when I was a kid, my neighbor had an enclosed garage that was concrete floor, and we would go roller skating in there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I remember being 4 years old and going next door and roller skating in the neighbor's garage.
Yep.
Our kid has never done anything like that. He's never even had roller skates or rollerblades or anything like that.
Right.
My first time ice skating, I was probably about his age, and it was a field trip that our aftercare place put on. They took us to the ice skating rink, and I had never done it before. And I went out there and I fell on my butt 1,000 times.
Yep.
But there was nobody there to help me.
No. It's free skate. Figure it out, kid.
And the walls, at least at the place where I grew up, there wasn't the glass partition because it wasn't a hockey rink. It was just an ice skating rink.
So you could really hold on.
And that's how I learned. There was one kid who couldn't skate for anything, and they got the PVC pipe walker over him. But
hey, whatever works.
But that's, but this thing, like, they didn't even have those out for these kids, which I thought was weird.
Yeah.
Because they teach how to learn to skate classes, so they have them somewhere.
Right.
And if they're opening this to the public for free and they're saying no skating experience required, they should have at least had those PVC pipes.
Right. Or
something.
Yeah. And then, okay, everybody go on the ice. And within the first 10 minutes,
you can identify
who's
going to need extra help.
These people need to go into this group, and these kids need to go into that group, or whatever.
It's a hockey-sized rink. It's not like they couldn't have split it in half. And
so then they were doing drills with these kids. Yeah. Like, again, all right, I'm done talking about hockey. I'll talk about this all night long.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
There's Russell.
It is a very Florida night. There's so much shit to talk about. But before we get to all of the Florida stuff, there are some other things that I want to talk about. First, I'm really sorry to have to do this to you because I know I know what this does. But a video was leaked last month.
I need a trigger warning.
Maybe. Which is set to be shown at the Jehovah's Witness Summer Convention this year, and ultimately to about 7 million witnesses. Do you want to talk about the convention just very, very briefly?
What do you want to know?
Like what's that like?
So basically, our conventions were held at an arena. So think a sporting arena. They set up a stage, they set up a pool. And then sometimes they set up screens, and there's, sound system, and there's old guys on the stage, and they talk about a bunch of crap for a good amount of time. It starts at 9 a.m. and it's over at like 3, and there's like an hour break in the middle of the day to go eat lunch.
Okay. So this video, not only is this one of the most homophobic things that I've probably ever heard. But more than that, I want you to hear how they construct the persecution complex.
Pause. Is this the one where the lady's in the market?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure it's the one that I've seen before.
Okay.
Sorry.
Very good.
So they're in a boardroom, for those of you who can't see.
Yeah.
The old men are in the back room.
They're having their annual...
talking about their
quarterly
witness
meeting.
People. Yeah.
In fact, Sally's experience is one that stands out for me.
Okay, now we fast forward to the market. And everyone's wearing rainbow bracelets.
Would you like to make a donation to the marathon?
No, thank you.
Look at that judgy face.
Right?
What a bitch.
Right? Right? Like, and pause. This is their perception of people that are not witnesses.
Right.
Like, that's just, like, okay, so this cashier...
She makes this, like...
Yeah, this cashier's just doing her job, apparently. But, like, witnesses are so judgy that they assume that everybody else is just as judgy as they are.
All right.
Oh, God.
Nope, there's another bracelet.
Paranoia sets in.
Yep. Oh, shit, another bracelet. And another. And another. And then there's the sign that shows the two little female restroom symbols, like holding hands with the bracelet underneath. Obviously, there's a pride event.
Uh-huh.
Shall I put it in the bag, or do you want to wear it now?
So this girl tries to give her a bracelet.
Oh, no, thank you.
She gives her like everybody's judgy looks. And again, this is the way that the witnesses have written each character to be portrayed.
Right.
Okay.
What's wrong, honey?
Honey.
You got something against them?
Everybody's looking at her, judging her.
Well, no, I don't have anything against him personally.
So what's the problem?
Like, this would never actually happen in real life.
Of course not.
I respect that they have a right to choose their lifestyle, but as a Bible reader,
Excuse me. I'm a Bible reader too. I go to church, and our church is one of the biggest supporters for this marathon. So what are you trying to say?
So stupid.
So stupid.
So stupid.
Okay. So we've addressed the well, I don't have anything against them personally.
Right.
I just have lots of things against them personally.
Right.
Like that's basically what you've just said. Now let's build the persecution complex.
Displaying courage now will help me display courage in the future. Well, I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and we believe the Bible teaches sex is for a man and a woman who are married.
Intolerant people.
And she's right.
She is.
She's absolutely right. You're an intolerant bitch right now.
Oh my God. But it still would never go down that way. If anything,
No,
it
Lord,
would be
no.
the reverse.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Oh God.
Also, have you ever shopped in a store that looked like this? Where are they?
I have no idea, but there's somewhere it's I don't know.
Okay, back to the boardroom.
That sure took courage.
That's what I told her.
Now, I'm not going to make a personal character assassination judgment because I just wanted to say if there's anybody that looks like somebody who might, it's probably, anyway.
God.
And I asked her to think about when the political powers destroy false religion. At that time, people won't want to admit that they're religious. And so for us to admit that we're Jehovah's Witnesses then, well, that's going to require the same type of courage as she displayed at that market.
Wow. I remember when Sally was just a little girl handing out tracts. And now look how well she's done.
Speaking
I
of
remember when she was a little girl.
Right? See, I'm
So
telling you.
sick.
I'm telling you. Okay, are there any Legos over there? Because I need to
No.
build. I'd like to build my own persecution complex out of Legos. If you've got any.
What? No.
No? All right. Well, never mind.
Oh, I've got clay.
That might work.
Here.
But like, really?
Listen. Just because.
But this is so. What they're going to do, though, is they're going to take all these people at the convention and sit them down and
absolutely.
show them these videos.
Right. Sure. I know this.
Yeah, you know this.
I know this. And the saddest part of it all is that they'll see these videos and they take it hook, line, and sinker.
Yep.
And believe that that's absolutely the way it is in the real world.
Yep.
And most of them will never know what bullshit it is.
Right.
You know, and the ones that do figure it out will figure it out so late in life that it will destroy them.
Right.
So,
the next story comes from the garbage state of Alabama.
oh,
Now, Mandy and I have talked about promposals before.
oh,
I don't know that I've ever gotten your opinion on such a thing.
no.
Do you have an opinion?
On promposals, I think it's stupid.
Okay, good. So, like, I think we talked about this even on the show, like, way back in the day, that Mandy and I talked about it. But she's written an article, too. If you go to SarahTalk101, you can read it. I think they're silly. But I guess that's a conversation for another day. These, okay, so there are articles out there that do use these girls' names, but because their names are very identifiable, unique, I'm going to use initials instead. J and R. Teens at Alexandria High School in Alexandria, Alabama, have been dating since September and discussing prom since December. Both females. So J decided to invite R to prom with a promposal during the annual talent show on January 30th. R performed a song, and then J stepped forward with a poster that said prom, ? On a rainbow background. R nodded yes, some people cheered, and then J received a one-day in-school detention. Principal Mac Hawley said she was disciplined because it's against school policy to do promposals at school events, but other students, current and former, say that they've seen promposals like this and even more extravagant before, and even one former student spoke out on Facebook saying that he proposed marriage to his proposed marriage to his current wife at a previous talent show and wasn't disciplined. The principal also said she had been warned by a teacher not to do it. So a teacher told the girl, hey, heard you're going to do this thing. Probably not a good idea. So, afraid of further repercussions, the girls and their families reached out to Lambda Legal, one of our favorite organizations. And Lambda Legal sent a letter to the school district asking for a written assurance that the girls would be allowed to attend the dance together, and threatened legal action if they did not receive a response by February 14th. They also demanded an apology from the district for discriminatory treatment and asked them to remove any related disciplinary action from her record. Now, this story is a little old, but there were some details that I didn't know when I first read it. Like, apparently, Alexandria High School is a Christian school.
Of course it is.
Because of course it is.
Oh, Jesus.
The letter says Principal Holly admonished the couple the next day over the school's PA system, saying, quote, "This is a Christian school with Christian values," end quote, and apologized to anyone who was offended by the promposal.
Whoa.
Oh, over the PA.
Holy shit.
And asked the school community to, quote, "pray for me during these trying times."
You've got to be fucking
end quote. No. But look, then it gets really fucking creepy. The Lambda Legal letter says, say that 3 times fast, says the principal continued to unfairly single out the girls, including pulling Jay from detention and asking her if she'd had contact with the media, and regularly visiting the classroom and following them in between classes. The prom is tonight.
Oh my gosh.
Like right now. And I really hope they were able to go. And I hope they're having a great time. And I hope the bigots have to fucking watch them dance and hold hands and kiss or what. Because fuck you. Oh, wait a minute. This is a Christian school. Do they even allow, can they dance?
I don't know.
They probably can't. What was the distance thing you told me? He had to stay so far apart when you dance? You can't touch each other? Fuck you.
Oh, God.
Now, that sort of stuff may sound a little frivolous to some, right? Let the witnesses have their hateful little convention if they want, and prom, that's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we talk about that kind of stuff that shows how this stuff starts. And if we allow that stuff in society, if we give religion that sort of privilege to think that their magical thinking gives them special dispensation, here's where that sort of thing leads. And of course, this story comes from the great garbage state of Texas.
Oh, wow. You're just saving all the Florida stuff for later, huh?
Yes. Texas.
Can only imagine.
Texas State District Judge Jack Robison was overseeing the trial of a woman accused of trafficking a teenage girl for sex when he twice told the jury that he'd received a message from God.
Shut the fuck up.
That the woman wasn't guilty. The judge.
Oh, God.
Yep. And you can't make this shit up.
Wow.
You really can't.
What?
Jury foreman Mark House told the San Antonio Express News, quote, he said he had thought it over and prayed on it, and that God told him that he had to say this. He was obviously troubled, very serious about it. It completely took everyone by surprise. We didn't say anything, he said. There were jurors who were physically sick, crying and distraught, end quote, after Robinson's declaration. Now, even still, the jury retained its verdict that the defendant was guilty of the charge of continuous trafficking of a person, but not guilty of the sale or purchase of a child. And then Judge Robison recused himself from the sentencing phase, which is a smart move, and was replaced by another judge. The DA requested a mistrial due to Robison's God remarks, but the woman was sentenced anyway to the mandatory minimum of 25 years in prison.
Holy damn.
The State Commission on Judicial Conduct is likely investigating, but won't confirm or deny. Legal observers doubt there will be any harsh punishment handed down. Because, of course, there won't be, right, in Texas.
Because God.
He should be removed from office.
He should. I mean, seriously.
A judge's role is to uphold secular law. Period. Religion, not welcome. And interfering with jury deliberations because God said so?
Right?
Whoa. But again, that's why we get worked up about the little shit too. Because when you let the little things go by,
right,
it's not long before you're selecting a judge who has no problem interrupting jury deliberations to say, God just talked to me and said...
Like, it makes me think about all the times I've done like jury duty and you go through the questions. I think if any of those questions had been, what's your religion? Or what's your belief in God? I would have been like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Holy moly.
Yep. Here's another one for you.
Way to go, Texas.
Late last month, the Starkville, Mississippi Board of Aldermen voted 4-3 to deny a permit for the city to host its first Pride Parade. According to the Starkville Daily News, the board hasn't denied an application since 2014, except for incomplete applications. 16 people spoke in favor of the event, including students and officials from Mississippi State University, Starkville business owners, and other citizens. Now, as one self-described 60-year-old gay man and lawyer commented, they weren't just asking for a permit to have a parade. They were requesting, quote, city participation and in-kind services, end quote, which probably means they wanted the city to provide like police and paramedic support and garbage services and that sort of stuff. And that may be why the council denied the application without comment, but probably not. The article says they did have an executive meeting prior to addressing the request, which is probably when the legal counsel was consulted and said, let's just deny this and don't give a reason. Don't create targets for lawsuits, basically, right? Which may be all fine and well, but it's a loss for downtown businesses who would have surely benefited from a bump in some foot traffic and other economic gains for the city, right? Well, then Starkville Pride filed a federal lawsuit against the city on a, quote, textbook violation of the First Amendment and its discriminatory treatment based solely on LGBT-related animus and violates the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. Fast forward to earlier this week during Tuesday's Board of Aldermen's meeting. Well, now the event request is back on the agenda. The aldermen now voted 3-3 with one abstaining from vote. So the Starkville mayor, Lynn Spruill, who was supportive from the start, broke the tie, and they're having the pride.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
Oh, my gosh.
Really?
Like, seriously.
Let them have a damn parade.
It's not like they're like...
Right.
It's not like they want to parade through your churches and your Christian schools. They just want to have a little parade in a public area.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. The next story. A woman filed a $1.5 million lawsuit against Hamburger Mary's. Now, we should probably stop here and talk a little bit about what a Hamburger Mary's is.
What is a Hamburger Mary?
Hamburger Mary's is a restaurant. There's one in downtown Orlando. There's one in Tampa.
Yeah.
Is that it? Are those the only two locations? I think they may be.
I think so.
So it's good food. I've been to one once.
Note that because I've been asking her to take me there for years.
I've been once.
I've never been.
And the food is really good and
makes me sad.
And they do drag shows. And like funny drag shows. It's comedy. That's good stuff.
They have like a Broadway night.
Yeah,
they have a bingo
all
night.
Kinds of stuff.
They have karaoke night.
I think the night I went was Dirty Bingo.
Dirty Bingo.
May have been. Sounds about right.
Yeah, probably.
And I ran into someone that I know that I didn't know. Right?
That's always the best.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like,
I'm like, I know you.
Do you have a brother?
Yeah, exactly. Right? And this was before I was out, before I had transitioned.
Yeah.
Right? And she came, I remember she came up to me and like put her hand on my shoulder and like down around my arm like this. And she's, ooh, you shaved there too. And it was this big joke and we all laughed and it was really good. And I was like, oh, I know who you are. Like once she spoke, I was like, I know exactly who you are.
Jamie says there's one coming to St. Louis.
Oh,
I think we're already here. Well, we're flying into St. Louis in May. Maybe we should go to lunch.
Let's look that up. It's great. It's so good. Okay. So Neldon Molina said she was at a restaurant in 2015 at the Tampa location celebrating a friend's birthday when, according to the suit, she was attacked by a drag performer's boobs. And again, can't make...
I'm sorry. I had
That's great.
Oh, God.
Here's what happened. Melina apparently had no idea that drag performances are a thing at Hamburger Mary's, which I don't know how you don't know that, until she overheard someone at another table talking about it. The music started. She turned with her back towards to the table, like turned like this to watch this performance. Right? Turned back to eat, And then when she turned back again,
I can't with this story.
performer Amanda DeHod pointed at her and began to walk toward her table. Yes. You should be doing that to the camera.
Not doing that
to the
great.
camera. Come on. But Melina turned away. But DeHod then touched her shoulder, walked in front of her, and grabbed her head. The complaint then says the performer, quote, wiggled her breast against the plaintiff's face and head 8 times. Quote.
I'm sorry, but if my face is in boobs, I'm not counting how many times they're wiggling.
Uh-huh.
But go on.
Hang on, I have to delete a file. Sorry. Okay.
Oh.
The complaint says Melina began to experience a headache and neck pain and reported the incident to the manager. Later, she went to the emergency room at Memorial Hospital of Tampa for cervical pain. Stay with me. And uncontrollable headaches. She's asking $1.5 million for medical costs and expenses for the past, present, and future, as well as pain she suffered physically and mentally. And here's the zinger. You ready? She also states that the restaurant failed to advise anyone of possible danger.
Okay. So, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes.
isn't like cervical pain like
Not near your head?
nowhere near your head? Like,
Right.
I mean, I had cervical pain when I was dilating. So what the hell did that drag queen do?
Listen, I don't know.
And I think that, I don't know, maybe we're just exaggerating a little bit for drama's sake.
Maybe.
Just
yeah.
a little bit.
Maybe to get $1.5 million.
Right, and management didn't warn you that there'd be any danger. It's a freaking family-friendly restaurant.
They close like, what?
It's not, yeah.
They're not open late.
They're not. It's not. It's they do brunch and they make
Right.
like early dinner. Like it's not. Oh, danger! Oh, danger! Oh my gosh! What I want to know is what happened to this poor drag queen. Like, what was the like? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's not in the story, but
Right.
like, did they? Oh man, now they're suing us. We've got to fire her and like over stupid shit.
Right.
Like, I want to see somebody somewhere has a camera phone video of this going down.
Right.
Somebody does. I want to see it.
Well, where's the consent? The drag performer just came up and shoved your face into her boobs. Where was the consent?
I don't know.
Did the woman try to say no, don't stop?
But well, maybe.
And does that matter?
I don't know.
God,
like, I feel like
I hadn't thought about any of this until right this minute.
I've never been to one of these places, so I don't know that I can really make that judgment without having been there and seen what these shows are like.
Right.
But I feel like if she did turn away,
right.
like what was the atmosphere in the room?
Right.
Like, I mean, yes, absolutely. You shouldn't just grab somebody and, but at the same time, sometimes these shows, that's the whole thing, is you heckle the audience.
Right.
Like, so maybe this person took it a little too far.
Right.
But I doubt this woman had any serious injuries that she needs $1.5 million over it.
Right. Take care of her cervical pain.
That's so stupid. Either that was a very poorly written or researched sentence, or there's a cervical pain.
I don't
know.
Okay. Now,
whatever.
Now again, so there's that's kind of the start of the Florida Files tonight.
Oh yeah, that was Tampa. That's
and
right.
There's far too much Florida. I was gonna do the Florida Man game again, and there's too much, and so. But I did want to share this story that would have been probably a pretty good contender for the Florida Man game. That was sent in by one of our listeners and friend of the show, Britton.
Britton, come see us.
Right? Come back on the show.
Come over. It's Saturday night.
Saturday night house party. Okay.
You can bring your girlfriends.
Hamburger Mary's is on Church Street, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, son of a bitch. What a tie-in. This story happened on Church Street, too. Officers patrolling Church Street in downtown Orlando found 2 men selling balloons filled with laughing gas.
Whoa.
It is illegal to buy, sell, or possess nitrous oxide, also apparently on the street, called hippie crack.
I would really like some laughing gas right about now. Could you imagine our show if we did it on laughing gas?
Hippie crack.
Hippie crack.
The 2 men had earpieces and walkie-talkies to help them avoid police.
Wow, they were really...
They left brightly colored balloons scattered along the road. It was in balloons. Right, so all I can picture is like the guy at Chili's who's like asking your kid if you want to make a balloon animal. Oh, they had business cards that said tie-dye whippets, which apparently is the term for sucking in nitrous oxide.
This is like a whole thing, and I've never even heard of it. Now I want to try it. Don't judge. No.
Judged.
Whatever.
Oh, God. Okay, so that is only the start.
My, Russell. The cervical pain was from the guilt of being turned on by the incident.
That's terrible, Russell.
It really is.
You're going to hell.
He is.
All right, that's just the start of the Florida Files tonight. After this short break, we'll talk about some more response to the Parkland shooting. We'll talk about the gun control legislation that's headed to the governor's desk and what specifically it does. Highlight some lawmakers that drive us crazy. We'll talk about some interesting Florida teachers who are making the news this week and definitely shouldn't have fucking guns. We'll do that when we come back. You're listening to Sarah Talk.
Are you ready for your first card? As I look at the set I placed down for you, I see an interesting things rising. Some of it has to deal with love and money and changes, and hopefully they're going to be for the better. Now your first card represents your situation, maybe some problems you've been having, maybe a little bit about yourself. Your first card is sorrow. This card is letting us know that there is some type of disruption in your life. Not that it's a big deal, but this card is giving off a strange vibe of anxiety. Actually, this card is warm in my hand. Oh, now caller, if you listen here, I'm seeing in the cards. Oh, yes, the 45 of mangoes. The 45 of mangoes card says you're going to go onto Patreon and subscribe because there is nothing better than giving when receiving. What will you ask me? Find out now and I see for you. Call me now for a free tarot reading.
I was feeling so alone.
I was going through a really difficult time.
I was embarrassed and a little scared.
I didn't want to bother anyone.
I didn't think they'd understand.
I thought it would just make things worse.
It was tough at first, but I did it.
It ended up taking a huge weight off my shoulders.
I feel a lot better.
I'm glad I asked for help.
I asked for help.
I asked for help.
I asked my teacher. I asked my aunt.
I asked my dad.
I asked my mom.
I asked the Trevor Project.
Now, I feel like I can get through this.
I know that I am brave.
You can do this.
You can do this.
You can do this.
Ask for help.
Ask for help.
Ask for help.
Ask for help.
Whatever it is, ask for help.
If you're thinking about suicide or need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. Trained counselors are there to help 24/7. Ask for help.
Want to join the conversation or tell Sarah she's wrong? Email producer@SarahTalk.com or call 224-40-SARAH. That's 224-407-2724. Now, more Sarah Talk.
Short break today. Well, there's so much to talk about. I want to get right back into it. So we'll take a short break. Okay. Welcome back to Sarah Talk. This segment of the show is going to be very, 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 very super Florida-centric. Like one big Florida marathon.
Oh, Yikes. I don't think I can handle that. I'm going to go take a break.
You're going to have to watch the chat because I get a lot.
I will watch the chat as best as I can, but I'm only now catching up with some of the stuff. I have to close it and go back in.
Russell, are you watching at work?
Yes, he is.
Russell just said the 45 of mangoes. I'm dying. My coworkers just asked if I've been smoking crack while out back on my break.
So
no,
you're doing tie-dye
crack.
whippets.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
What was I going to say something?
I'm sorry. Lots of Florida stuff. You're going to have to watch the chat.
Oh yeah.
Okay. There's a lot going on, and including some more follow-up from the Parkland shooting. So let's just get right into it. Okay. First, Eric Scott Branch was convicted of raping and killing 21-year-old University of West Florida student Susan Morris in 1993. I don't know if anybody remembers this story.
I was like 10, so no.
Susan Morris in 1993, whose naked body was found buried in a shallow grave near a nature trail. A couple weeks ago, after receiving a lethal injection, Branch began thrashing on a gurney and yelled, "Murderers," 3 times. Just prior, apparently, he'd had a conversation with the correction officers expressing his opinion that they were good people. The officers said, I know this is not, you guys are just doing your job. You're good people. You're not. But the Governor, Rick Scott, and Attorney General Pam Bondi, both Republicans, they should come down here and carry out this sentence personally. Now, I'm not going to go real deep into my thoughts on this because I am working on lining up a show still about the death penalty, and I want to hear your thoughts. So email, call, let us know what you think. Producer at SarahTalk.com, 224-40-SARAH, 224-407-2724. You can leave a voicemail. The only thing I really want to say right now, I don't agree with the death penalty because are we sure? There have been plenty of cases where we've executed the wrong guy, and then 40 years later, new technologies revealed DNA evidence that that wasn't the right guy, right? But also, how can we make the moral declaration that killing is wrong, except if you did some terrible shit, then we get to kill you? And who do we say killed this guy? Was it the officer administering the lethal injection? Was it the jury who sentenced him? Right. Is it all of us collectively as a society for accepting this method of punishment as normal?
Yeah.
And whoever that is, shouldn't they get put to death for murder? This guy's right. They murdered him. He did some bad shit. I don't disagree with that at all.
Right.
Don't think we should be killing people as a form of punishment. I just have a big problem with all of this. Change my mind if there's a perspective out there that I'm missing, if this is something that you're interested in, please let me know. I really want to dig into this on a future episode. So get with us. Okay. One major component of the gun problem in America that we haven't really talked about yet. And again, please remember, nothing is a monolith, right? We've talked. Yes, the guns are part of the problem. Yes, mental health is part of the... Yes, okay. Toxic masculinity. And nobody explains what that looks like better than used to be a coach but got in trouble for making kids pray coach Dave Daubenmire. Dave Daubenmire, who, let me first remind you, also said that the Vegas shooting was, quote, God's wrath on a wicked nation. Have a listen.
This will sound horrible, but I got to say it.
He's not lying. It's really going to sound horrible.
Instead of the aftermath of these shootings in Florida being, hey, dude, where young guys are saying to each other, I'm going to learn to fire a gun. I ain't ever going to let this happen again. I'm going to learn to fire a gun. Instead, the reaction is, oh, please take the guns away. The exact opposite message. Meet power with power. That's manhood, masculinity. The truth of the matter is you can be as nice and as holy and as righteous as you want to be, and at some point you're going to face evil. What are you going to do when you face evil? That's masculinity.
What the fuck?
This guy. First of all, he needs to take the Jesus hat off.
Yeah.
Because that's just not helping
It's
his
a,
case at all.
But it's a visor.
It's a visor.
It's a visor.
Yeah.
With Jesus in like
Jesus.
the block sport.
So
Like
stupid.
Yeah, look.
Like, I knew anything he had to say was going to be a moot point once I saw his hat. But seriously, this is disgusting, actually.
Okay, let's finish this out.
No.
Amen.
We don't even teach it. We have no concept of it. We don't even teach it. So Right Wing Watch and Howard Stern, they got the big microphones, and they make fun of guys like us who really in our hearts get it and understand the battle that's being fought against us. And they try to ridicule us. They try to make fun of us. And most guys don't have the stones to stand up and say, hey, I don't care what you say. You don't bother me. Here's what I think. Suck on that one, bud. We don't have that attitude anymore.
What a Jesus-ly person, huh?
Right?
Yeah, godly man.
I don't want to offend anybody. That is so womanly. That is so womanly.
And go.
What the fuck do you think your mother would say if she heard you talking like that? Seriously.
Right?
Why is... What? I can't.
Right. Why is
it a bad thing?
Right.
First of all.
Right.
And why does everybody have to be... Why does... meet power with power?
All right, we're almost done.
Oh, God. Oh, this guy makes me...
You look at all the great athletic events. It's about defeating the other man. It's about arising to the challenge and conquering the challenge. That's manhood. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I get kind of a problem with that, too. Like, maybe that's why I have a problem with sports.
And
is
furthermore...
the toxic masculinity that's baked in.
Furthermore, fighting against somebody who's trying to take your life, you cannot compare that
Right.
to a sporting event, you douchebag.
Well, but no, hold on, because these people aren't trying to take his life. These people are just trying to, like, silence him because he's toxically disgusting. That's really, really the fight, is that people want to shut down the macho man. And because we don't want to get offended. Did you hear him say that?
Oh, yeah, I did. Okay.
We don't want to offend people. Shut the fuck up.
Seriously. You're offending me.
I'm convinced one of the reasons many men do this is because they just want to sleep with the women. That's it. Period and simple. Their angle to lack of masculinity is to get the woman. And I'm convinced a lot of men are that way.
I don't know who this guy is on the line, but shut up.
Yeah.
That men are feminine because they want to get women? What?
That doesn't
make sense at all. Shut up.
So, boys, your life would be a lot easier if you quit letting your Peter rule your life.
Wow.
Okay, not entirely wrong.
I mean...
Don't let your penis run your life. That I can agree with.
I shouldn't have said that either. And I'm not sorry.
Okay. Maybe. If we could get rid of the toxic, macho, manly man bullshit like this, maybe, just maybe, we wouldn't have so many amosexuals just aching to wave their guns around. And that's the connection, right? Like, that's part of our gun problem. Part of our gun problem is this, I have to be a manly man bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's talk about what's happened since we last talked about the shooting in Parkland.
Oh, you mean how all of the stupid lawmakers in Florida...
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on. Take another drink.
I haven't even reported yet.
I know.
We're an hour in.
Oy.
Okay.
Surprising.
So the legislature considered a bill, and we'll go over what that eventually became in a minute. But in the Senate Bill 7026, quote, the gun and school safety bill, barely cleared on a 20-18 vote. And in the House, they debated more than 36 amendments offered up by Democrats, and every single one was shot down. In the House, the vote divided 67-50. Republicans largely said it goes too far, guns aren't the problem. Democrats largely say it doesn't go far enough, that no civilian should own weapons of war. This will be Skeletor signed it. This will be the first successful gun control measure passed in Florida in over 20 years. And Governor Skeletor signed it yesterday, the day before, the last couple of days.
It was either yesterday or the day before.
And we'll come back to Rick Scott in a minute. But first, here's our senator, Kelly Stargell.
I can't stand her.
Republican, during the debate in the Senate. Here they're talking, they're discussing this bill. Here's what she has to say.
But I wanted to stress that this is not political. If I thought for one moment that if we banned assault weapons, then all of these tragedies would end, you would have me, I would be with you. But are we going to ban fertilizer, which is what they used in the Oklahoma bombing? Are we going to ban pressure cookers, which is what they used in the Boston massacre? Are we going to ban the multiple handguns that were used in other assaults? Are we going to ban the sawed-off shotguns, is what was used in Columbine? It's not the weapon.
It's the weapon. And this whataboutism, this is why we need to elect people who have, like, I don't know, intelligence.
Like one thing used fertilizer, one thing used pressure cookers, one thing. How many of these instances were there assault rifles made to replicate rifles used in war?
Yes.
Created to murder people?
Yes.
They didn't create fertilizer to murder people. They didn't create a pressure cooker to murder people.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And all of those people that use those one-off things.
Right.
That's one isolated incident. That's your anecdotal crap that you can shove up your damn ass.
But here's the thing, right? So, sure, all of those things can be used for nefarious purposes.
Yeah.
But let's talk about how we respond to those sorts of things. Once upon a time, we identified that people were using overdoses of NyQuil to fuck them up, right? Mm-hmm. And do you know what we did to change that and make it not happen as much? You can't go in and buy 2 fucking bottles of NyQuil at the same time.
And
there are some controlled substances like that even over the counter, they limit the quantity that you can purchase.
And you have to be over 18 if it has certain ingredients in it.
So if I'm not mistaken, the fertilizer thing too, like there are certain components of that they restricted what you can purchase and how much and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
too.
unless you have a contractor's license.
But it's false equivalence, right? They're not the same. And again, I don't know how many times I've argued with people online about this. Saying that other things are a problem does not make this problem not be a problem.
Right.
It doesn't work like that.
Well, but that one girl got killed by a lawn dart.
Yeah, and we can't.
Now they're banned. One person.
Yeah.
And it probably wasn't even, it was like accident, like not used the right way. It wasn't even like somebody murdered her with it. It was
right. You threw it. Have you ever seen lawn dart? You kids out there that are little and young and haven't been on the earth long enough.
I mean, how do we?
The lawn dart was a dart with a poke on the end of like that long. And you threw it up in the air.
I don't understand. Like, where's the person who passed that law? Let's get them back in a chair somewhere.
Right? All right.
It's the evil from within. And unfortunately, Senator Stewart said at the very beginning of her debate, when we say thoughts and prayers, it's frowned upon. And
Because it doesn't do anything.
I take real offense at that because thoughts and prayers are really the only thing that's going to stop the evil from within the individual who is taking up their arms to do this kind of a massacre.
What?
This is an elected
utter
official.
Bullshit.
From my...
Right.
From
Like,
my...
Let me tell you, people. I
Senator.
walk past her office twice a month. I really want to put a thoughts and prayers sticker on her door.
Right. I mean, you could probably... There are probably cameras. I was going to say, you
out
could...
the evil. Seriously, if that were true, then
Right.
all the thoughts and prayers after all the previous events should have done something, right?
Right.
No.
No.
Lady, you're delusional.
Ooh, almost overdid it there.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, let's finish this up.
So I will continue to do the thoughts and prayers. But in
Do the
addition to
thoughts and
that,
prayers.
I'm also going to do a comprehensive plan that Senator Galvano has spent hours and days, weeks actually working on. We're going to look at the weapons, which to a level of comfort past me, but I'm willing to move to a degree to say you've got to be 21 before you can have it to make sure that person has a little more maturity in their life.
Okay, I'll go with you there, right? Okay, you have... The line down the middle is here, and you're on the right,
Right.
and I'm on the left, and you moved a little bit left just
Right.
now.
Just- yeah.
I will accept that.
Okay.
Looking to the individual and their mental health to make sure that we're trying to make sure this individual is someone who we've done everything we can in our power to try and catch them early, to try to change the trajectory of their life when they've come from a broken home or whatever situation that they've had, to help them not have the desire to do these kinds of acts.
Okay. Now, there's a component of this conversation that we haven't had either when we talk about mental health. And I want to address it because I feel like I haven't done a good enough job of drawing the distinction. Okay? But that's this. Part of the stigma around mental health in America is rhetoric like this. And shit that I've said too falls into that bucket, right? It's the idea that if you have a mental health problem of any sort, that you are unhinged, unstable, incapable of functioning in society and shouldn't have a gun, right? And obviously that's not the case. Obviously not everyone who's dealing with some form of mental illness
Right.
falls into that. Right? Obviously, not everyone who comes from a broken home is struggling with thoughts of killing people. Right? And so I want to apologize for not drawing that distinction earlier, as we've talked about this in the fucking shootings that have happened in the past. And I will my promise to you is that I will try to incorporate that into the language that I use. God forbid we're going to have to talk about it again when we have to talk about it again. That I will make sure to draw that distinction. Because talking about, oh, well, the mental health, you got to take it makes it sound like anyone who's ever, who's struggling with anything.
Anybody who's ever had any kind of mental break
is incapable of handling owning a weapon, which is not true.
Right.
So that's that. I wanted to throw that out.
We're going to look at law enforcement for the ones that we've missed, who've still got to that point, who want to do these things, to harden our schools.
Okay, pause. You too many things at once. Yeah, okay, a lot of people missed out on this kid. He had been called, cops have been called on him a lot of times.
Yep. He was, yeah.
Yeah, right. Lots of different agencies had been looking at him.
Right.
There was a lot of concern.
The schools knew, the kids knew, everybody knew, but there was nothing done.
Well, and again, so, and maybe this is where, I talk about the way that we handle mental health and crime.
Right.
Because unless there has been a serious crime committed, the police can't do anything. Like, they call them out, hey, the neighbor kid's shooting my chickens. And they come out and say, don't shoot your neighbor's chickens. And then they leave. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even then, okay, let's say shooting your neighbor's chickens is a crime that gets you a night in jail.
Right.
What the fuck is that going to do?
Well, I mean, there's been domestic violence cases where the woman has gone to the police and
Yep.
like couldn't get a restraining order, and then she ends up dead because nobody did anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not uncommon. Like the
Right. So there's got to be a way to
There-
get in before the crime.
right.
Okay.
And if we haven't hardened the school enough, to have armed people there to just as the very last resort stop them.
Okay. We're voting her out, by the way.
Yes, we are. Totally.
Okay. I went to a small town school. Probably not. I don't remember the stats on Columbine, but rural, kind of, not small school.
Yeah.
Not a lot of kids. High school graduating class of 32.
Mm-hmm.
Open campus.
Anybody can come
Doors
in.
were always
Anybody can
unlocked.
go out.
Yep. Yep. You're supposed to check in at the office if you're coming in for something. In my high school, the office was on the 3rd floor.
That's nice.
Yeah, 2nd floor. It was on the 2nd floor of the old building. Yeah,
Okay.
2nd floor. So, like...
Yeah.
And I get times are different, but should they be? I don't want hardened schools. I don't want my child walking past militarized armed
Right.
guards.
I don't want them to feel like
every
they're in
fucking
jail.
day to go to school.
Right.
I want you to fix the problems
Right.
that create the situation where somebody can come into the
Right.
put gates up. Sure,
Yeah.
let's do that. That's
Absolutely.
a great. That I will support you on. That's
Yeah.
a good idea. Let's make it so that you can't just walk anywhere the fuck you want to go, and you have to go through the office or whatever. Right? Like there are things you can do, but hardened schools.
Yeah.
That's too
No.
far.
I mean, and that's like, this is their last few years of somewhat innocence in this.
Yeah.
Like, so I can't, I mean, I have a hard enough time with my 7-year-old coming home and telling me about how they're doing active shooter drills and how they have to hide in the closet and shut the lights off. And I mean, that's hard enough as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I mean,
we
they
didn't have
shouldn't
to do that shit.
like metal detectors. Okay, maybe.
Right.
But an art, like we had at my elementary school, we had a student resource officer, and he carried a gun.
Yep.
And
we didn't have any of that.
Like that was it.
We were in Mayberry.
But he was always there. And I remember he was just always there, and we felt safe, and nothing ever happened at my elementary school. But
right.
I just think like as
well, and if you get the right school resource officer,
right.
So also I have a problem with the shit this guy's taken for not running into the line of fire.
Like
fuck you, people who are like, he didn't do his job.
Right.
Screw you. You go run into rain of bullets coming.
Oh, Mr. Trump. Oh,
You're
I
gonna
would
be
have
the fucking
gone in
hero?
even if I didn't have a gun. Yeah, fucking right, Mr. Bone Spurs.
Exactly. So, to me, the intent of having a police officer in the school is for them to be getting to know kids and developing relationships
Right.
and finding the troubled children before they become shooters.
Right. And trying to mold them into
yeah.
something better.
Exactly.
Like-
That's to me. That's what a resource officer is supposed
and
to
that's
be.
what ours was. Like he was always there, and like we had a great I mean, I remember being a teenager that had just got my driver's license, and he was like we lived 3 blocks from the elementary school, and so he knew me. He knew my car. He knew, and he saw me run a stop sign, and he stopped me, and he says, "I know you know better than that." And I was like, oh, like,
I'm so sorry. Like you let him down.
Yeah,
you
like,
let him down.
and he didn't give me a ticket or anything, but he just gave me that guilt because he's known me since I was yay high. But like, that's what I think of when I think of
Right.
these student resource officers. They are there. They know their kids even long after those kids leave the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish up Kelly Stargell here.
So this is a comprehensive plan. It's not just the weapon. It is all of it. It's comprehensive. But in my
Yeah, we know what the word comprehensive means. I know you needed to look it up in the dictionary to write your script for this thing.
Oh my God.
opinion, the one thing that will actually change this the most is the one thing that has become fighting words, which is to say thoughts and prayers. So that's something I'm going to continue to add to my comprehensive plan so that we can hopefully stop the evil that is happening from within our world.
A great solution to stop the evil. It doesn't involve thoughts and prayers.
No.
It involves getting your hands dirty and paying attention to kids
Right.
and taking away the ability for these kids to have weapons of war.
Yep.
It's not that difficult.
Cannot disagree with that at all.
If you want to think and pray for them, that's fine too. But your own Bible says that faith without works is dead, and I'm pretty sure that that's part of that. If you pray for something, you need to work for it.
Okay.
But who am I?
Now, again, for my religious friends in the audience, this is why I rip on religion so much. The rhetoric like this in the discourse of lawmaking does nothing to solve real-world problems. It does nothing. There are 17 kids dead. And the last I heard, one of these kids is in the hospital in May, is fighting for his life in the hospital.
Yeah, he's not in good shape at all.
Gah! And your thoughts and prayers can just shove right up your ass.
Right. Well, I mean...
But again, this is religious privilege in action. Okay. Let her say her God garbage because freedom of speech, I guess. I can't argue that she shouldn't be able to say,
No.
But it shouldn't be considered with equal weight to actual real-world solutions.
Right.
Anyway, so here's what the legislation that Rick Scott signed will do. It raises the minimum age to purchase a firearm from a licensed dealer from 18 to 21 years old. Okay, I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't address the gun show or private sale loophole.
Which is ridiculous.
I can still sell you my piece from my garage, and there's no
matter
background
how old
check.
you are.
There's no registration. There's no paper trail.
Right.
It implements a mandatory 3-day waiting period before obtaining a weapon. So you go into Guns R Us, point at a gun, plop down the money, and they say, awesome, thank you. Come back in 3 days, you can pick it up. Now, that's not completely bad. The idea is if you're purchasing a firearm with the intent to immediately use it to kill people, this forces you to take a few days to think about what you're about to do. However, in this specific case, the shooter had purchased his weapons at least a year prior to the shooting. And the Las Vegas shooter had been stockpiling guns for a long, long time.
Right.
And so I don't think this is really going to... Okay. And for the "you're taking my rights away" crowd, the government can and very often does place limits on our rights. You have the right to free speech, but not the right to be free from consequence of that speech. You have the right of free exercise of your religion, but the government can and does limit some conditions around where, when, and stuff like that. So it's not absurd to say, you can have your gun, but you have to wait a bit. That's not infringing upon your Second Amendment rights. Especially when you consider, like we've talked about before, the intent of the Second Amendment had nothing to do with personal gun ownership in the first place.
Right.
But we've beaten that dead horse to dust. But the next thing the law does is it bans bump stocks. Why didn't we do this after Las Vegas?
Right?
Bump stocks weren't used by this kid in Parkland. That should have been done after Las Vegas. But at least we've done it. Okay. And bump stocks, as you probably know, this is a mod that the Las Vegas shooter used to greatly increase the rate of fire. It makes a semi-automatic firearm almost fully automatic in terms of speed. The bill provides $25 million to destroy and rebuild Building 12 at the school. Take my money for that, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Those children should never have to walk into that building again. It sets aside $400 million for, quote, mental health and school safety.
For the state?
Yes.
For that school?
For the state.
Oh, okay. I was like, are we...
For Florida schools.
That's not a lot.
Do the division, right. Not a lot.
No.
Now, a racial justice group called the Advancement Project is calling on the governor to veto. Had called on the governor to veto. You can tell when I wrote this, because they said too much of that $400 million is marked for adding more police in schools, and not enough on the mental health side of the ledger. And then the major component of this whole thing that's caused all the controversy, the bill calls for a $67 million voluntary school guardian program, which they've changed the name to. It's named after the coach, I think. Hang on, I'll tell you what it's called. Coach Aaron Fease.
Yeah.
Guardian program. That's what it's called now. Which would allow trained school personnel, except those who exclusively teach, and that's been missed in a lot of the reporting, to carry guns. So included in that exception are counselors, coaches, librarians, but not full-time classroom teachers. Here's what it says. Because I have this in my phone's notepad because I've had to copy and paste it into so many fucking arguments over the past 24 hours. Okay. In the bill text itself, it says, excluded from participating in the Coach Aaron Feast Guardian Program, I hope I'm saying that right, are individuals who exclusively perform classroom duties as classroom teachers as defined in Statute 1012.01 Section 2A. 1012.01.2a says classroom teachers. Classroom teachers are staff members assigned the professional activity of instructing students in courses in classroom situations, including basic instruction, exceptional student education, career education, and adult education, including substitute teachers. Okay? These are the people who cannot pack heat. Right?
Right. So,
but Marion the fucking librarian, you can join the program.
let me. Oh my gosh.
Please go right ahead.
I love our son's school.
I need a break.
And I think about this, and I think about all the people who would qualify to carry a gun, and I don't think I would trust any of them in a high pressure situation. I've seen them at car ride or pickup when they get frustrated that the cars aren't moving quickly enough. You know, you've got the coach and the principal out there hollering and yelling at the kids that they're not getting in the car fast enough to move the line. And that's like not stressful.
Right.
You know, you got coach with his blood pressure up, the principal over there trying to get the buses to do whatever they're doing. And then the only other person that's not in this scenario is a librarian who's still trying to come downstairs because she's 2 years from retirement, probably 20 years after she should have retired.
Yep.
And I'm just like, I mean, I just don't see. And okay, fine. I've heard some arguments that, well, not all teachers are, you know, Miss Florence in the library.
Sure. No, you're right.
Absolutely.
You're right.
Yes. But if we're excluding all of these teachers that are in most of the people that would be of sound mind are in the positions where they're exclusively teaching children.
Another component of this, and this was a conversation that we had on Mandy's Facebook. I had said, you know, like, again, let's make clear this says teachers can't carry guns, but most of the headlines are saying that teachers, this allows teachers to carry guns.
It's staff, it's not teachers.
And she had asked, let me see if I can get right back to the original comment. She was kind of praising Governor Rick Scott for passing this bill. The pendulum is swinging, times are changing, she says. Okay, and then friend of the show, Ken, says, I'm still afraid that if something happens in the future and the teacher does not carry a gun, will they be hung out to dry? Will they be persecuted? Something happens, right? And one of these coaches was there and had elected not to participate in the program.
Had you had one, you could. Yep. Sure, absolutely.
And I said, okay, well, let's go with the opposite too, right? Let's say the counselor has a gun, because the law doesn't allow teachers, right? Counselor has a gun. Something happens, and they don't go running in to save the day. Are we going to vilify that person like we
Right?
did the resource officer whose job it was to protect?
Right?
You know, like really. So Mandy said, like, I feel a little bit better because of the requirements, and the requirements are this: they have to volunteer for it. Right? It's not mandatory; it's voluntary. They have to complete a 132-hour shooting course, pass a mental health exam, and a background check. I still don't like it, but I will bend a little to support the rest of the bill and at least try something. All right, get either there. But I think that's all meant to give us warm fuzzies.
Right.
132 hours in no way prepares a
No.
person to respond to an active shooter situation.
Especially when you think about, okay, this is the guidance counselor. If the guidance counselor is anything like the student resource officer, the guidance counselor knows these kids probably better than a student resource officer because these kids are in their office. So now you have a guidance counselor who has got an active shooter who's one of their kids,
Yep.
and they are already feeling like, how did I not know this was going to
Yep,
happen?
and now you're forced
and now
to shoot
I've
them.
got to go.
You're asking I want to say teacher. You're asking someone who works at the school to shoot a child
That
potentially.
they know that
Yeah.
they, like I think of our guidance counselor, and I think I've seen her on rough days when she's had
Yep.
problems with kids, like little kids that and it's not like life altering problems. It's just a rough day, and she's so dedicated to those kids that it really, it takes you over your emotions. I couldn't imagine asking her to put herself in
Right.
that position. Like seriously, there's got to be a different solution, which I think we've covered, but whatever.
Okay, so let's get back to Skeletor here. The Tampa Bay Times reported that the governor said, when a bill makes it to my desk, I'll do what they don't seem to be doing in Washington. I'm going to review the bill line by line. And the group that I'm going to be talking to, the group that I care about the most, because it impacted them so much, is the families. Whoa, who's this guy? Like, who, and what have they done with the real Governor Scott? This didn't sound like him at all.
Yeah.
This is an imposter. And apparently he had, prior to all of this, he had been very outspoken against arming school personnel. He said, quote, I've been clear. I don't think we ought to be arming teachers. And maybe that's the distinction.
Yeah.
Right? I never thought I'd be agreeing with Rick Scott. I never in a million years thought that.
No.
Of course, the nuance there is probably like, well, put more officers in the school, but don't give teachers guns, which I mean, again, there was an armed officer in the school. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like if all of this money is to be putting more police in schools.
I still feel like, just based on my experience as a child, the officers, the guidance counselors, anybody in that position, they know these kids. And if something, God forbid, were to happen
Yep.
where there's a kid who's gone loose in the school, and now
Right.
know that kid and you didn't catch it, you've got that going through your mind, and now you're expected to step up and protect the other kids and possibly shoot the one. Like, I don't know what that does to a person mentally, but I can't imagine that it would
Oh,
be
Lord,
positive.
no. I can't imagine.
Like, I don't know. I hate this whole thing. I hate
Okay,
it.
so this leads me to the next couple of stories. You, the royal, you said, why shouldn't teachers be in charge of school-sanctioned firearms? Well, the universe provides. The first story is about Florida man and Kernan Middle School maths teacher in Jacksonville who has been suspended for repeatedly using the N-word in class.
Oh.
And telling his 7th and 8th graders not to date African Americans because, quote, they are not worth it, end quote.
Whoa.
At a school of 1,148 students, of which 22.6% are African American.
Shit.
According to the school district's investigative report in August 2017, a student recalled that Swinyar was arguing with a student, said, quote, if my daughter was dating someone who used the F word, I wouldn't have any respect for that in.
Whoa.
The counselor, quoting a student, reports that Swinyar said, quote, if my daughter was dating someone and that in said the F word, I would beat him up, end quote.
Oh.
In early October 2017, a student told an investigator that while discussing relationships with students, Swinyar said, quote, if your boyfriend says bad things to you and or treats you wrong, that means he's acting like an N. You all should not be dating all of these different African-American boys because they are not worth it, end quote. The report also says he made other inappropriate comments to students, calling some of them dumb. The district put him out on a 10-day suspension without pay, said he will be reassigned to a position with no student contact for the remainder of the year, at which point his annual contract will come up and hopefully he will be tossed. Let's give that guy a gun!
Right? What did you just tell me? Like, why? I want to know. Where do they find these people? I mean, I thought I had some issues with some lack of communication going on right now at ours with our school. But that, holy shit. Oh, man.
Yeah, we're not done. There's another.
No,
Another
of
one.
course there is. There's still paper in front of you. Of course there is.
2 pages left. I swear to God, we're almost done.
Praise Jesus.
No, let's not. Before I get to the next story, while I'm heavy pouring, I would like to just say thank you to Andrea, friend of the show, Andrea, for taking some time off from her new boo to listen into the show tonight. Glad you remember we exist.
Wow.
Okay. Zoom your map out now over to the west coast of Central Florida, just north of Tampa, where you'll find Crystal River, nestled in an area of Florida which is largely made up of preserved land, including a state park, wildlife refuge that shelters manatees, aquatic marsh, natural springs, even an archaeological state park. And in that sleepy coastal town of 3,000 or so, you'll find 25-year-old Diana Voletich, a social studies teacher at Crystal River Middle School. Rather, you'll find 25-year-old removed from the classroom Diana Voletich, who is under investigation for reportedly secretly hosting a white nationalist podcast called Unapologetic under the pseudonym Tiana Dalichov, where she's espoused some very troubling views. Did you see this story?
I think I've heard this.
Huffington Post,
familiar.
Huffington Post broke the story, and they have side-by-side photos comparing. Yeah, we can have them here.
Oh, jeez.
Comparing the two.
Oh my God.
There you go.
The teacher somewhat
Same earrings.
that
No, shut up.
might possibly.
Same earrings and everything.
Oh wow.
Right, that's definitely her in both pictures.
Wow.
One
that
of-
was smart.
Yeah, right.
I bet she got her education in Florida.
I don't know that.
Oh, joke.
So anyway, it compares Diana's teacher photo with Tiana's Twitter photo. They're very clearly the same woman.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
Same
unless she has-
earrings, same funky eyebrows that like go.
Yeah, what is
like,
that about?
Like they're melting off the side of her face.
Well, they probably are. Oh, ooh.
Okay.
Okay, go on.
So what really got her in trouble here was that she brags about teaching her views to students at the public school.
Idiot.
She's since shut down all of her social media and removed the podcast's website, but Huffington Post managed to get a ton of information before it was removed. In a February 26th episode of the podcast, she said that science has proven that certain races are smarter than others.
Really?
Yep. Oh, I mean, come on. White people have higher IQs than black people. You didn't know that?
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Studies. Science.
Wow.
She talks about not only putting on a different persona when administrators come to the classroom to observe during that first year. So this is like last year was her first year teaching at the school.
Oh my gosh.
But she told the children, I'm going to be acting a little different than you're used to. Basically like play along to the kids.
Whoa. What grade was she? What grade was she teaching?
It's middle school.
Okay.
She said that parents complained to the principal, who questioned her about injecting personal politics into her classroom. She denied it, and the principal, quote, believed me and backed off, as if to say, like, see, I got away with it.
Oh my gosh.
Her many screenshot Twitter posts show her declaring that racism isn't real, and being forced as a teacher to study institutionalized racism. The white privilege doesn't exist. The blog Angry White Men, which tracks white nationalism, wrote a post talking about Tiana Dalichov, who hosts a podcast called Unapologetic. who interviewed a prominent white supremacist media figure, Lana Lochtef, who works for Red Ice TV.
Oh my God.
Which the Southern Poverty Law Center recently designated as a hate group.
Of course.
She's vocally anti-Muslim, anti-Semitic, and has repeatedly praised and retweeted well-known leaders of the neo-Nazi and white supremacy movements. Let's give that cunt a gun.
Yeah. Right? Oh my gosh. See, these stories scare me because
we have kids in
like,
school.
I have kids in school, and you know, like this. Oh my God. Okay. Wow.
Monday, NBC News obtained a statement from Voltage, in which she admits she's the host of the podcast, but says she was employing, quote, political satire and exaggeration, end quote, to attract listeners. Isn't that the argument that Alex Jones tried to give when he was trying to get his kids or something?
It was just, oh my God.
Which to be fair, now hold on, because listen, I'm going to cut this little piece out of the paper because, look, that's exactly what I'm going to say when I get called out for hosting an angry, controversial podcast, too. Like, okay, let's see if this works first, and then I'll put that in the...
No.
Okay. Now, we actually have the audio clip from that episode, and I want to play it through and break it down, but it's 17 minutes long. So what I think we'll do is, once we're done here, we'll turn off the live stream, and we'll do that for patrons.
Okay.
We'll play through and
give you a little
kind of react to as a bonus for our patrons. So patreon.com/SarahTalk. We'll have that up in a couple of days too. Okay. So until this week, I've been making fun of Florida a lot more than normal because up until this bill, right, our legislature was doing things like declaring porn a health risk and locking us into daylight saving time forever and putting In God We Trust in schools rather than deal with actual problems.
Right.
And then I happened upon this clip from the Freedom from Religion Foundation. Here's legal expert and all-around man of the people, Andrew Seidel, presenting the nuttiest legislator in Florida. You thought this other lady was bad.
I'm scared now.
Kimberly Daniels. And again, remember, this is like a mashup clip.
Okay.
Clip show.
Florida State Representative Kimberly Daniels is on a mission, a religious mission, to get organized religion back into the public schools.
To adopt rules that require all schools and all buildings used by the school to display in a conspicuous place the state motto, In God We Trust.
Okay, so she's the one, if you'll recall, we talked about this.
We did.
That she's the one behind this In God We Trust madness.
In God she trusts, so she wants every public school to display In God We Trust.
The spiritual air force and the demons in the air and on the earth. And
a self-proclaimed preacher and exorcist, she's never been shy about this theocratic goal, openly proclaiming it as she fights demons, battles witches, and breaks curses.
But God had to anoint me to go in the gates of the city, to go in the chambers of the city, to write laws and to be able to debate and write legislation so that his kingdom could come and manifest itself like never before. We have to be kingdom-minded no matter what realm we operate in. Even in every position that I hold, where I'm working in the professional arena, whether I'm working in the legislative arena, you have to be kingdom-minded.
Theocracy of God, the kingdom agenda, as opposed to the government agenda.
I'm a commissioner in Jacksonville, Florida, and don't nobody tell me I can't pray nowhere. I can pray anywhere I go. Now you gonna let me swear in on the Bible and tell me I can't preach it? The devil is a liar.
Okay, now I don't entirely disagree with that at all. We shouldn't be swearing in on the Bible, though. That doesn't mean you swear in on a Bible, you get to say your prayer in front of the legislature.
And is
There's
there
more. Oh, there's lots more. Yes. That's only halfway through
I just
it.
know that I'm preparing myself because I know that you're going to go on a little tangent, and I would like to say my thoughts first before you go on your tangent. But by all means,
Please, no, go ahead. Yeah.
I just feel like this is like extra, like she's extra, but at the same time, so we live in a country where we have freedom of and from religion.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
So, but you know what? Christianity isn't the only religion. There's lots of religions.
It's the only real one.
Stop it. And I feel like the alt-right is just, that's where they want it to go.
Yeah, they want a Christian theocracy.
But and they're damaging the reputations of the real Christians that are just, let me do me and you do you kind of thing. Like, I mean, I know plenty of religious people that go to church on Sunday, but they're not this.
Right. Oh, and so what you're missing, what you haven't seen yet is, like the hand waving, knocking people over, like healing stuff.
Fine, lady, believe what you want, but don't represent my thoughts as your constituent that that's where I get uncomfortable.
You want to know the biggest mind fuck of all about this?
No.
She's a Democrat.
Oh, geez, that makes it even worse. Okay. But that's where I go with it. Okay, so she's all on these radio shows and whatever.
But she believes that God anointed
she's
her.
using her office or whatever it is to push her own agenda. But what are the people who voted her into office
God voted her into office.
But they're
I hear you.
That's like this Kelly Stragel girl,
right?
Lady, whatever. The people that voted her in. It's not just the people that voted her in that she speaks for. It's also the people in her district that didn't vote for her but got stuck with her. Right. It makes me uncomfortable.
Okay, let's finish this up. Come on! Here's the hand waving, clapping. People falling down, praising Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
Healing power.
Yeah, Jamie, it's YouTube.
That's just the beginning. Daniels has said and done far worse.
And you can talk about the Holocaust, but the Jews own everything. I thank God for slavery. I thank God for the crack house. If it wasn't for the crack house, come on somebody, God wouldn't have never been able to use me how he can use me now.
Real good.
And if it wasn't for slavery, I might be somewhere in Africa worshiping a tree.
Let's just let that simmer.
Whoa.
Let's just let that simmer for a minute.
Holy shit. What?
Now, to my black friends.
Holy fuck.
Please, reach out to me. I want to hear your take on this.
Brandon, where you at, buddy?
This just makes me feel like, what the fuck?
How do you...
That slavery was good because...
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, where... Oh.
Okay.
I need Brandon to come explain this lady. I'm kidding.
Jamie.
I don't think he could.
Jamie, yes, this was the Freedom from Religion Foundation posted this video. It's on their YouTube. I'll put a link, though. Okay, let's finish this up.
In the United States, laws are only legitimate, constitutional, if they have a secular purpose. Daniels' only purpose is to promote her religion, to force her God onto other people's children.
I am an elected official. That's crazy.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. 100%.
Totally crazy.
Finally, we have something that we agree on.
She's Jacksonville?
I think so.
Is that? I thought she said Jacksonville. Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Because I know people in Jacksonville that would vote blue, but I need to forward this clip to a certain K-Bay.
Okay, let me run out the last 20 seconds.
a demon buster that write laws.
And then there's a call to action, and I'll pass that along because the Freedom from Religion Foundation. I want to get Andrew Seidel on the show. That would be great because he's wonderful. Everything I've ever seen or heard of him has just been fantastic. But the Freedom from Religion Foundation fights garbage like this all the time.
Yeah,
they're the ones that are putting up billboards. They're the ones that are taking down crosses on public land.
Right.
They're the ones that are out on the front lines, like rebuilding the wall between church and state. So text FFRF to 52886, and that will it'll ask you some questions, I think, about like your zip code or whatever, and it just tries to identify who your. I did it on mine. I have 3 or 4 different places I've done this with, and they'll send you action alerts when they need you to tweet your senators and representatives or whatever. So please, definitely, Jesus, do that. District 14. What is District 14? I'm trying to find a map here. So this is fantastic radio. Sorry for the. Okay, District 14. Yeah, it's northwest Jacksonville.
Okay.
Look at the line on the map there. Okay, but again, this is a Democrat, and we talked about her with her In God We Trust madness, putting it on every, and that fucking passed. Put this on every school. It's nonsense, as if that's going to benefit or protect students and faculty.
Yeah, that's not the district where I know people, but still.
I mean, okay, look, maybe if they engrave In God We Trust on a giant stone monument, you could hide behind the monument when the shooter comes in spraying bullets at 45 RPM. Like that might...
But it's not inclusive to the kids.
Of course not. They don't want to be inclusive.
I think that's ridiculous.
She doesn't care.
I know she doesn't care, but seriously. I mean, and I look at this, okay, she's a black lady. Has she ever been singled out? Has she ever been excluded in something?
Sure.
Has she ever,
I'm sure she has. Right. But hold on now, because persecution... is seriously,
you're
it's
right.
part of your identity.
Yeah, I know.
When your religious persecution is so baked into your identity, so is every other persecution becomes like seen in the same light.
You're right. It's just maddening to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
okay, let's wrap this up.
Yes, please.
I have one last story.
Is it a good story? Is it a happy story?
I always try to end on good news.
Thank you, Jesus.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Speaking in tongues. I don't know what it means. It means good news.
Oh, okay.
We've been talking about these Florida kids getting involved in politics, and stop it. That's propagating the mental health stigma. Okay.
You're right. I'm sorry. I apologize.
We've been talking about these Florida kids getting involved in politics and taking over the nation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, these Florida teens aren't alone. Apparently, there are no age requirements to run for office in Kansas. And of course, with loopholes like that, it's only a matter of time before someone exploits it. In fact, no less than 6 someones have exploited that. 6 Kansas teens have filed papers to run for governor in the November 2018 elections.
So excited about this story. I did hear about this. This is amazing.
Now, 17-year-old Jack Bergeson says there are important issues regarding education that current government is overlooking. He says if elected, he wants to raise the minimum wage and work on legalizing marijuana.
Yes.
18-year-old Dominic Scavuzzo says he's running for office because young people should have someone their age to help them understand policies and bring transparency to important issues like public education spending.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm not kidding. There are actual, committee to elect organizations and campaign websites, and I will link those up in the show notes so you can check them out.
If I had some money, I'd be donating to that cause.
So, and I didn't finish writing this story, so I'm going to wing it. But, of course, the legislature has already reacted and implemented a new law that stipulates the age is 18, that you have to be, blah, 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 whatever. And one of the Republicans, I think, filed an amendment to try to change 18 to 30.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted it to be 30 for you to be able to run for office. Are you kidding me?
So dumb.
Now, so you have Democrat Jack Bergeson, Libertarian Ethan Randlius, Republican Tyler Ruzich. Tyler's website says, quote, "I'm currently a junior at Shawnee Mission North High School." I can't do it if you're going to laugh.
God, I'm sorry.
Junior at Shawnee Mission North High School in Johnson County, Kansas. In addition to my activities as a gubernatorial candidate, I am a member of my high school's debate team. I like pizza and Oreo blizzards from Dairy. I'm kidding. It's editorial license at the end. Independent Aaron Coleman, who says on his website that as the son of an Air Force technician who served in the Gulf War, he understands the value of the military and its overuse and wants to dismantle the military-industrial complex.
Oh.
So far, so good. Wait, never mind. He lines up with Republicans on the Second Amendment. And so scratch that.
Well, still.
This is great.
Remember these names.
So
these kids are going somewhere.
This is good. It's so good.
This is not the last time you're going to hear their names, I'm sure. I mean, they're going to do something.
Right.
And I would vote for Emma Gonzalez if she ran for Florida
for
governor.
Anything.
Yeah.
Run for anything.
Whatever.
You have our vote.
Yeah. Come kick this Kelly Stragle out.
Mm-hmm.
Please get rid of her.
Okay. You are in luck because that is the end of the show for tonight.
All right. Good. Ready for bed.
Well, we still have to record the 17-minute whatever thing. We should do that tonight because tomorrow we're going to be busy.
Sarah installed my birthday present.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I got a new ceiling fan in my bedroom.
So nice. So nice.
Yeah.
We've had a box fan sitting on a chair in the corner of the room.
But hey.
Right.
So I want to go to bed so I can lay under my fan.
30 minutes? 30 minutes.
Fine.
Okay, so that's it for this week. Join us.
David.
I know David just popped
David.
in. You're late, buddy. We're done.
Yes, giggity, Jamie. Giggity. No, just sleepity.
All right, so we'll be back here next week, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, for our Facebook Live broadcast. Follow facebook.com/SarahTalkRadio if you want to get live notifications, or join our Facebook group, which is where you should be.
Yeah.
If you're not, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Because it's awesome.
And you're missing a party.
And that's Sarah Talk Podcast Listeners is what that's called. So you can join that. And that's where we talk about stuff that we've talked about on the show or news stories that don't make it. Before we go, we want to make sure we thank our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/SarahTalk who are paying for us to go to Polk Pride again.
Yeah.
I haven't even mentioned that. I
we've been so like,
I know,
blah, blah, blah.
but it's booked. We've put the money in. We have our space reserved at Polk Pride, so we'll be out there. It's June 16th or something like that.
June 16th.
So we'll be out there again doing that. That was a lot of fun. I can't wait. I love stuff like that.
So if you're local, come see us.
Yeah, we'll put stuff on the website and the Facebook and stuff, so you can find out.
In June, so you got some time to plan.
You have time to plan. Our patrons are part-time patron Russell, Andrea, I can't read, the Wayward Willis Podcast, Mandy, Josie, Harry, Jeremy, Stacy, Megan, and AJ. Blah, 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 blah. All right. I love you guys. We'll see you next week. This is Sarah Talk.
Sarah Talk is made possible by listener support. Visit patreon.com/SarahTalk to become a patron and help keep this program going. Contact Sarah and Company by email at producer@sarahtalk.com or call 224-40-SARAH. That's 224-407-2724. And follow us on social media, facebook.com/SarahTalkRadio and on Twitter @SarahTalkRadio. Sarah Talk is a production of Sarah Austin Media.